Hi, Misfits. This is Kevin.
And this is Kate.
Welcome to Horrorwood.
Just discussing our vitamin D deficiencies and how magnesium is taking over our algorithms.
Yeah, I just bought magnesium glycinate. Ask me the difference between the other magnesiums. I don't know.
You know what? Until they started popping up in every single reel on my feed, I didn't even know that there were different magnesiums.
I didn't really either until I searched for it. And then I was like, well, which magnesium do I need?
And this is now a health podcast. What magnesium are you taking?
So, Kate, today I'm talking about the history of magnesium supplements.
At first, I thought you were going to go right into it. Like,
oh my God, you're like, wait.
Switch. I think we have a new Petronian.
I was going to say, I thought I saw an email come through.
Yes. So here's the thing that I'm kind of confused about. When it popped up, it was one name. And then when I went into Patreon, it's under a different name. And then it also said that they've been on the Patreon for a couple of months. And I was like, wait, did we already shout this person out? But I don't think we did. I think it was like they canceled or something happened and then came back on.
And then we didn't give them a shout.
But all we have to say is Steph Marie, if that's your real name. Thanks for joining the Patreon.
Steph Marie, girl, welcome. We're happy to have you if it's true.
It was just confusing the way it came up. And like sometimes the Patreon, like when you go into the audience list, it's a little...
I've looked at that before. It's not the easiest thing to look at or navigate.
Because people will cancel and then come back on like a couple months later. And the way it like shows it to you, it's not helpful for us. I will just the way that Patreon
I agree.
Lists it.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you for becoming a Misfit Murderino. We super duper appreciate it. And that is all the business I think we have today.
Okay, I love it. Oh, I wanted to tell you, Kate, I had my Irish dancing
that's right. How
showcase
did it go?
on Monday. It went really well.
Yay.
I got to wear my sequin pants.
Yes.
I will not recommend them for dancing Irish because my thighs were tangled in threads.
Oh, did the sequins unravel?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh no!
I was shedding sequins as I was like kicking them legs up and down. It was fun though. I did well, and my classmates did well, and it was great. It was fun.
We went to see Ben Folds with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. And it was lovely. I will say it was very humid that day. And we walked from the restaurant to the symphony.
Yeah. And
then we were waiting in line forever outside. Like, I don't know if they just opened the doors later or what happened, but I thought, well, they surely can't start on time because there's still so many people coming in. And we get inside, we use the restroom, we're going to buy a couple of waters. And then they were closing the doors and huge line of people outside. And I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't get the water. We should just run. And Matt was like, yeah, we need to go on in. So we kind of run in. I mean, the usher was very lovely to us because she had closed the door. And I was like, oh my gosh, please. And she's like, okay. And she sneaks us in, which was very nice so that we didn't miss the beginning. But yeah, it was lovely. I always forget how much I love the symphony. It's so nice. It's just nice to just that kind of talent. I mean, I'm just looking at all these musicians. I'm just like, damn, I wish I had even an ounce of that talent that you have. But
high level. I've actually never seen a CSO show.
Oh, you got to get there.
It's know. So and it sucks just because working in a music organization and being around the people who work in other music organizations, I feel go.
Yes.
I'm going to do that. Thanks for the inspiration.
It was really nice. So anyway, that was our weeks.
Cool.
How's everybody else doing?
How y'all doing? Leave it in the comments.
All right, now I'm ready to hear the story.
Okay, let's get into the story. So, Kesaria Abramidze
Oh, that's a gorgeous name.
I love it. Was a glamorous and outspoken trailblazer. She was the first openly transgender woman in the country of Georgia to rise to national fame as a model, actress, and TV personality.
Holy shit.
Yeah, big deal. But on September 18th, 2024, her vibrant life was cut short when a brutal act of violence shook the country.
Oh, no.
It was a terrifying reminder for many LGBTQ plus people living under growing fear in an increasingly hostile environment.
Oof.
I want to say at the top of this episode that I read a lot that was translated from Georgian to English.
Okay.
We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest language to translate, so if I fucked anything up, please let me know. I don't want to be disrespectful, but
Sure.
I should be fine. So let's talk about Kesaria first and foremost.
Great.
Kesaria Abramidze was born on August 18th.
That's my birthday.
Yeah, 1987.
Okay, well, I was a little before that.
That's all right. In the capital city of Tbilisi, Georgia.
All right, fellow Leo.
Yeah. From a young age, Kesaria stood out. She always knew who she was and never let the world tell her otherwise.
Yes, girl.
As a child, she grew up surrounded by a family who gave her love and support despite their country's beliefs on gender. Her mother, Julissa Abramidze, remained by her side through thick and thin. Kesaria also had a younger sister, Anna, who was very close to her. They were a tight-knit family, and that foundation helped Kesaria stay strong later in life when things got tough.
We love to hear it. We love a supportive family.
Yeah. I can't say anything about her father because that was not in anything I read.
Oh, okay.
But we know that the women of this family had a very tight-knit bond with
Very
each other.
close.
Very close. So before her transition, Kesaria made an important decision for herself. She traveled abroad to have her genetic material preserved.
Oh, wow.
Hoping that one day she might be able to have a biological child.
I see.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
I guess in looking into this, some people who are transgender, who are kind of planning later in life to have children, you can go and have that preserved in certain places and hang on to it.
So when you say genetic material, you're not talking about freezing eggs.
No, I'm talking about semen.
Yes.
In 2014, she publicly announced that she had undergone gender-affirming surgery.
Okay.
This was a big deal in Georgia because being open about gender identity came with serious risks in a very religious and conservative country.
Ooh, that's scary.
I'll talk about kind of where this is it's all kind of really screwed up.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
100%. So the following year, Kesaria made headlines by appearing in an underwear advertisement, stepping fully into the public eye as a proud trans woman.
Okay.
Kesaria wasn't just content with personal visibility. She became a model, an actress, and a TV presenter. She was featured on shows like Psychopath Games.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Never heard of it. Also looked it up and can't find anything.
Okay. Psychopath Games.
Georgian TV shows. I feel like they don't get talked about. I watched a lot of YouTube clips.
Okay.
That were very dramatic.
Oh.
I don't know what they were saying.
All right.
But
it was intense, whatever it was.
It was like one of those things, like, I think Kesaria did this interview with like a national TV presenter about her being a trans woman.
Okay.
And it was very much like camera zooming in, like, these questions are hard hitting.
Okay.
And she's like sitting there, like flipping her hair back. And she's like, what? Ask me the questions.
Yes.
She's amazing. Gorgeous as well. Yeah, so she was featured on Psychopath Games and David Kovitzd's Jurekatstadt.
Perfect pronunciation.
Thank you. I know, exactly. That's exactly what it was. In 2018, she represented Georgia at the Miss Trans Global Beauty Pageant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a huge deal. She was the first Georgian transgender woman to do so.
Amazing.
So, big moment, huge. We have to go shopping.
Trailblazer.
Yeah. Eventually, she landed a role as the host of First House on Rustavi 2. I think First House was like a house hunting type
okay.
like HGTV situation.
Yeah.
From what I gleaned when I looked at pictures.
Matt and I used to be obsessed with all things HGTV, like House Hunters and Flip This House. Name a house renovation show, we were on it. Name a show where a couple was trying to choose between 3 different houses, we watched it.
I miss HGTV. Do you have it still?
Is it gone?
No, I just got rid of cable.
Oh, got it.
About a year ago. I loved Millionaire. What was it? It was My Lottery Dream Home. Did you ever see that one?
Oh, yeah.
Those are so fun. Anywho, Kesaria was a natural in front of the camera with charisma, humor, sharp honesty, very present.
We love to see it.
But Kesaria wasn't just a celebrity. She was an advocate. She spoke openly about the challenges transgender people faced in Georgia, from lack of safety and health care to social rejection and violence. On social media, she had over 500,000 followers and used that platform to share both her joys and her struggles. She often talked about relationships, sexuality, and self-worth, hoping to educate and inspire others who might feel alone. She never backed away from the truth, even while facing attacks and threats. In interviews and public appearances, Kesaria talked about the lack of sexual education and the emotional toll of toxic relationships.
Wow, she sounds amazing. Also, this is very topical, being that we're on Pride Month.
Oh, no, exactly. This is why I did this. It got picked up by the major news outlets when this happened, but they didn't do a great job of reporting on it.
Okay.
And as I'll get into it, they tied it to something which is important and does have to do with LGBTQ plus rights, but that they didn't even go any further than that.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, oh, this transgender model was murdered, and it was because of this. And then we never heard about it again.
I see.
But if you go to the Georgian news websites, they covered everything and all the trial, and I'll get into all of it. But I do love her because I read interviews with her where she is very much like a champion of her community and women in general. And she's talking about awful relationships and the problem of domestic violence in Georgia, which it breaks my heart. We'll get into it. So Georgia isn't our state in the U.S., you may ask. This
Wow.
is a stupid question.
I think we already know where we're talking about.
9.
Wow.
I got a little loopy when I was writing this part.
Okay.
So let's just tell people what Georgia is, because it took me a while when I was younger to figure out that it was a country and not the state.
I like that you whispered that.
Georgia is a small but historically rich country nestled in the South Caucasus region, where Eastern Europe and Western Asia meet. It's surrounded by Russia on the north, Turkey and Armenia to the south, Azerbaijan to the southeast, and the Black Sea to the west. I've always wanted to go to the Black Sea.
Really?
Yeah, it's super salty. So like everything floats.
Okay.
And I used to buy this Black Sea salt scrub from this company. Did wonders for the face.
Great.
I think. Georgia has long been a cultural and geographic crossroads. Though small in size, it boasts an outsized legacy. It's home to one of the world's oldest Christian traditions, having adopted Christianity as a state religion in the 4th century. It's pretty early on.
Okay.
And it has its own unique language and alphabet that date back thousands of years. I don't know what that alphabet is, girl.
You're like, what are these squiggles?
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, look up Georgian language.
So I looked up Georgian alphabet, and the first thing that came up was an image where someone has circled some of the characters and just wrote, what? Because so many are very similar.
It's like it's very similar.
I mean, not that the English language is at all
Oh.
simple, but I can see why it's confusing. There's like 5 different symbols that all look like the number 3, but
Yes.
they're all
And they're all just
slightly different.
in different positions.
Yeah.
So as part of the Caucasus, Georgia has seen waves of empires pass through: Roman, Persians, Mongols, Ottomans, and Soviets. Each leaving their mark on the country. It was absorbed into the Soviet Union in the 1920s.
Okay.
And only regained independence in 1991.
Okay, that's a long
Pretty
time.
recent, yeah. Since then, Georgia has worked to reshape itself as a modern democracy, but is also grappling with that deep-rooted conservatism from, Christianity.
Sure. This is kind of out of nowhere, but isn't it weird that countries adopt official religions?
Yeah.
Because it kind of comes up in my case as well. And I don't know that I've ever really sat and thought about that. But the fact that countries are like, no, everyone's going to be this religion.
It's insane, isn't it? The country Georgia is called Georgia due to a name borrowed from Persian. The Persian word gurgun.
Perfect.
Thank you. Which may have connections to meaning the land of the wolves and was adapted into various language like Syrian, Arabic, and ultimately to English as Georgia. This name was then used by the Russians as Grusia, which further evolved into the English name. So there's the G at least. Let's get into a little bit more about the country's view on the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay.
Life for LGBTQ plus people in Georgia is kind of like living between two worlds. On one hand, there's this tight-knit creative underground scene full of art and fashion and nightlife and activism, especially in the capital city of Tbilisi. On the other hand, there's this constant pressure of living in a country where most people still think being queer is wrong and where just being out can be dangerous.
That is scary.
It's terrifying. Historically, Georgia hasn't been the most welcoming place for queer folks. During the Soviet era, homosexuality was criminalized. Stalin himself reintroduced the ban in 1934, and that stigma stuck around for a long time.
Sure.
It wasn't until 2000 that same-sex relations were officially decriminalized in Georgia.
That's so, I mean, it happens everywhere, I believe it, but it's just like.
It's like, what the fuck? I've never fully understood.
The fact that people get bent out of shape over what someone who has nothing to do with them feels towards another person.
Yeah.
Like who they love.
Yeah.
Which it's not even something that they can decide. Like it's just who they are.
Who they are.
Just like for a heterosexual person, that's just who you are. Like
Right.
you didn't choose it. That's how you were born. But people
Freak their shit
Yeah.
out.
It's like, really, you have nothing better to think about than what someone else is doing that has nothing to do with you.
It's so wild.
It is.
It's just get over it.
I mean, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox.
No,
I can hear everybody out there right now being like, shut the fuck up and get on
to
with
the
the story.
No, but this is this is why I'm covering this. You
Yeah.
know, this is Pride Month. This is an important story. Okay, so the year 2000, same-sex relations officially decriminalized, but legality does not mean acceptance.
Yeah.
Even now, surveys say over 80% of Georgians believe that same-sex relationships are always wrong.
Wow.
That kind of attitude is baked into the culture, especially with the influence of the powerful Orthodox Church, which often fuels public anger and fear around anything LGBTQ. But here's the thing. Queer people have always been part of Georgia's story.
Yep.
Nay, the world.
Yep.
You just had to know where to look, as is often the case. A lot of artists, dancers, and cultural icons were queer, but their identities were hidden or erased. There's an amazing article from the BBC about gay life in Georgia from 2023. Linking it in the show notes.
Okay.
Read it, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some of it. In Georgia, there's a vibrant LGBTQ plus scene.
Yes.
Yes, it's looked down upon. Yes, it's challenged, but it still exists. So there are people like Vakhtang Chabokiani, one of Georgia's most celebrated dancers, who was gay and everybody knew it, but it wasn't something you said out loud.
I see.
Same with painter Elena Akvaldiani, who was a lesbian and wore men's clothes. Now, researchers and activists like David Apakidze are working to bring those stories back to light. He's even got a book coming out called 100 Years of Georgian Queer Art.
Ah, okay.
Today, if you're LGBTQ plus in Tbilisi, you might find your people in clubs, art galleries, or drag shows, but it's still risky. A lot of trans people, especially trans women, struggle to find housing or work. Nata Talikshvili, a trans comedian who's become a bit of a local legend on the scene, has talked about how hard it was just trying to survive when she first came to the city.
Tell me about Stiddy.
Stiddy. Oh my God. When she first came to the city.
Earlier, you also said terrifying, and I just let it go. It was so funny.
Kate, this is between 10 and 11. This is where I'm at.
Yeah, it's too early for Kevin right now.
Listeners, I have a weird language thing happening in my head right now. It's all the Georgian. It's really thrown me for a
It
loop.
has.
So yeah, she moved to the city and started sex work at 14
Oh, shit.
because she had no other choice after her grandparents, who had supported her, passed away.
Oh, that's awful.
She's been a bouncer, a performer, and a sharp-tongued truth teller who uses comedy to call out hypocrisy. One of her favorite targets, the Orthodox priests who preach hate during the day but slide into her DMs at night.
Yep.
And she ain't joking. She has the receipts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the clubs in Tbilisi, especially one called Bashyani, have become more than places to party. Bashyani hosts Horum Nights, a queer-friendly party started in 2016 by activist Georgi Kikonishvili. I apologize for these names, you guys. I did look them up. Did I remember them 100%? No. But
Okay.
I think I have an idea.
They feel great to me.
Okay. That's good to know.
Sounds beautiful. Just say it with confidence.
I will.
And everyone else will believe
Georgi
you too.
Kikonishvili.
Yeah. Wow.
So he wanted the club to be a base for more than just music. He saw it as a space for all kinds of progressive movements, and it worked. That club helped to begin shifting public perception in small but meaningful ways. It gave queer people a place to feel safe and be extremely visible.
Nice.
Another key figure in the Georgian LGBTQ scene currently is Tekla Tevdorashvili.
Beautiful.
She and others co-founded Fungus Gallery,
Oh.
an LGBTQ plus art space that highlights queer voices from across the Caucasus. Caucasus and Caucasus are different things, Kevin. It's named after the idea that fungus grows in the dark because queer communities in Georgia have had to survive in the shadows for so long.
I see.
Their motto, quote, "We thrive wherever we get even a little chance to grow."
Oh.
That says it all.
That just like hit me in
I
my
know.
gut.
They've hosted exhibits like Resilience, focused on trans women. Their public art is often vandalized, but they keep putting it out there.
Ugh.
There's also Success Bar, which is the oldest gay bar in the Caucasus. Its owner, Nia Gvatua, turned it from a dingy old place into a cultural hotspot.
Oh.
It's now home to drag shows, art, and a place where queer people feel welcome.
Amazing.
Gvatua is deeply connected to the scene, known for her photography and fashion sense, and even featured in Vogue.
Hey.
Still, things aren't easy. The threats are real. People like Takshvili have been harassed online and in person. She's called out men who threaten trans women while secretly propositioning them. And it's not just random people and not just clergy. It's politicians. It's local influencers. She's like, as she puts it, these aren't aliens. They're part of society.
Yeah. They're just people.
Right. And then there are artists and creatives who've left Georgia for safety. Balenciaga's previous creative director, Demna Gvasalia, has said publicly that he can't go back. His own uncle threatened to kill him if he did.
Holy shit.
But he is now the creative director at Gucci as of March 2025.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Film director Levan Aiken, who made the acclaimed film And Then We Danced, now lives in Sweden. Did you see And Then We Danced?
No.
I did, and I didn't realize it until I was researching this.
Oh, wow.
That movie caused a firestorm in Georgia because it portrayed a love story between two male dancers in a traditional ensemble.
Okay.
It was so controversial, they had to lie about what the film was about just to shoot it.
Wow.
Because they shot it in Tbilisi.
Okay.
I saw this at the Music Box when it came out.
Oh, really?
And it's such a gorgeous movie.
When
Kate.
did it come out?
It came out, I believe, in 2021. Let me just check that real quick.
Okay.
2019, so it was pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, I should check that out. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I didn't even connect it. And then I was like, I think I saw this. And then it all came flooding back and I was like, beautiful.
Oh.
It's good. So queer life in Georgia continues to grow and push forward. Everybody's carving out spaces where they can. They're telling stories. They're reclaiming history, building community, even if it is in a club basement, a small art gallery, or online. For many, it's not just about expression. It's about survival, joy, and resistance all at one time.
Yeah.
And I think those are key foundations of Pride as a whole in just the general world. Let's talk about what's been happening in Georgia recently, specifically the family values and protection of minors. This gets important when we're talking about Kesaria.
Okay.
I'm trying to set the scene of like the history of the country, what being queer means, and then where it's been recently.
Okay.
So there's this bill, this law called Family Values and Protection of Minors that passed in 2024.
Okay.
And the political party behind it all is known as the Georgian Dream.
Ew. I don't feel good about where this is going.
No, I don't either. I wrote good times for all to be had, eye roll. So I rolled my eyes.
Kevin literally
I write my own stage directions.
And then he did an eye roll.
So Georgian Dream is the current ruling party in Georgia. It was founded in 2012 by Bidzina Ivanishvili. I did my best there. A billionaire who made his fortune in Russia. Sound familiar?
Okay.
Anyway, he briefly served as prime minister, but even after stepping down, he's widely believed to still pull a lot of strings behind the scenes. The Georgian Dream came into power, promising closer ties with the West and support for democracy. But over time, their tone and their tactics shifted.
I see.
Lately, it's felt more authoritarian and alarmingly similar to the path that Russia has taken. So as the 2024 parliamentary elections crept closer, Georgian Dream leaned hard into culture wars, focusing on so-called traditional values as a political strategy. It wasn't.
I hate all of this.
Hate it. I fucking hate it. It wasn't subtle. They started pushing laws that would appeal to the country's conservative majority, especially around issues of gender, sexuality, and family.
Not a great platform.
Well, and so the bill passes, and here's what the law bans or restricts.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Same-sex marriage, explicitly banned. Adoption, LGBTQ plus individuals and couples are banned from adopting children. Gender-affirming care, banned entirely, including surgery and legal gender changes on documents. Again, sound familiar? Like,
all of that is terrible. The thing with adoption, so you would rather a child who could go to two loving parents who are going out of their way to try to love and care and raise a child. You're telling them, no, you can't. But yet you've got people who can't even take care of their own kids, but because they're heterosexual, you're like, oh, it's totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. Make it make sense. All right. Public expression, pride events, gone.
Oh, yeah. They're not going to like that.
Nope. LGBTQ plus flags, symbols, and public promotion of queer identity are all banned. Education, teachers in schools cannot discuss LGBTQ plus topics. Even books and media with queer characters or themes are censored. Legal identity, trans people can no longer change their gender marker on ID documents. And yeah, this really did pass.
I believe it.
On September 17th, 2024, the Georgian parliament, dominated by Georgian Dream, voted 84-0 to adopt the bill. No one voted against it. The opposition boycotted the session, which made it easier for the ruling party to push the law through.
So they didn't even show up?
Yeah, they were opposed to it. And instead of
That's almost worse.
I know, I agree. Not doing anything is worse than, trying to do something.
Yeah.
Even Georgia's president, Salome Zurabishvili, who opposed the bill, was powerless to stop it. Georgian Dream had enough votes to override her veto. This didn't happen in a vacuum. Georgian Dream has been under pressure. There's growing public unrest, major protests, a lot of criticism from the civil society and the international community. So they doubled down, of course, using culture war issues as a distraction. It's a play straight out of the Russian political handbook. In fact, many critics have said the law is nearly identical to Russia's anti-LGBTQ LGBTQ plus legislation passed over the last decade.
Scary.
It's also part of a broader trend. Earlier in 2024, the party passed a foreign agents law requiring organizations that receive over 20% of their funding from abroad to register as foreign agents. The targets were NGOs, non-governmental organizations, essentially nonprofits, along with independent media and human rights groups, especially those that support LGBTQ plus people. Together, these laws sent a chilling message. Dissent and queerness are both unwelcome. So, yeah, you had to, if you got 20% of your funding from outside of the country, you had to register as a foreign agent, which then makes it harder for you to operate as an NGO. So the impact of family values has been immediate and devastating. Organizations like Tbilisi Pride have warned that it could force them to shut down. Public events have been canceled or pushed underground. Queer artists, educators, and activists fear arrest or harassment. Even displaying a rainbow flag is considered grounds for punishment. So this is a translated message that comes from Tbilisi Pride on Instagram from this past Sunday, June 15th.
Oh, okay.
Quote, though since May 17th, 2013, we have entered the very sad era of the protection of queer rights, and this era is still ongoing, it does not mean that even a temporary retreat is a surrender. And what matters is that we are all saved now to arrive at a time when we are all ready to talk about it. See what I mean with translation? That's tough, but I think you can glean what that means, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's a pity that there was no time and place to talk about this in the ongoing protests. Even the queer organizations are self-censoring to avoid giving the opposing side a reason to discredit the entire protest.
Right.
But then again, we know we support this protest. So it's a lot. Like they kind of have to sort of fall in line with what's going on, but also be able to push back in their own way.
We see it in this country. Like it's
no,
everywhere.
I mean,
so...
this. What's crazy about this, Kate, is like a lot of this right now is kind of echoing things that are going on in our own country.
Oh yeah.
Like this is exactly what's happening.
To hate another person that much that you want to control their happiness, how they live, who they love, you have to be so empty as a human that you can look at another human and say, you're not worth it.
Yeah. I don't know. There's no like good words to put it. It's hard to put it into words because it's such a strong feeling. Anyway, so internationally, this has all sparked condemnation. The European Union has warned that these laws could jeopardize the country's hopes of joining the EU. The UN has expressed concern. Even Germany's Bundestag Foreign Affairs Chair, Michael Roth, made a statement connecting this legislative crackdown to acts of violence like the murder of transgender model and actress Kesaria Abramidze. So where does this leave the LGBTQ community in Georgia? A terrifying place. Activists are still organizing. Artists are still creating. Things are still moving forward, but the threat is growing. And the Georgian dream has made it clear. They're willing to trade human rights for political gain. All right, so let's get back to Kesaria Abramidze.
Okay.
We know that she was a force to be reckoned with, but behind that glamour and public confidence, she was dealing with something much darker in her personal life. Enter Bika Gianni. He was 26 years old, significantly younger than Kesaria.
Okay.
He would have been 24 when they met, and she would have been 35.
Okay.
And they had been in an on and off relationship for about 2 years.
I see.
From the outside, it might have looked like a typical rocky love story, but for those close to her and eventually for the public, it became clear that this wasn't just complicated, it was toxic and dangerous.
Okay.
According to friends like Jakob Mamulia, a producer and longtime friend of Kesaria, things started going south fairly early on. Bika was jealous and controlling. He didn't like how visible Kesaria was. He didn't like her being in the spotlight or being desired by others. Instead of dealing with those feelings like an adult, he lashed out. Jakob and others in Kesaria's circle were against the relationship from the start once they saw that Bika was abusive. They urged her to leave him.
Oh, that's so tough.
I know. And that's why I said it was tough earlier, because she is such an outspoken person for domestic violence victims, for the transgender community. But that doesn't mean things aren't going on in your own life, you know? It's so tough. In spring 2024, during the height of Georgia's political protests against the Foreign Agents Law, Bika reportedly participating in the beating of demonstrators in Tbilisi.
Whoa.
Yeah, this wasn't just a hot-headed boyfriend. It was someone who was already caught up in violent, politically charged behavior. Kesaria became noticeably more withdrawn after that. And according to Jakob, she didn't want people to know she was still seeing him.
Oh.
She tried to protect her public image, but also probably herself.
Yeah. It's easy for a friend to be like, oh, just leave him, like, get out. But
it's so much
not
more
the
than
reality.
that. Exactly.
And that's the most dangerous time, too, is when you're trying to get out.
Yeah. At one point, Kesaria even left the country. She fled to Turkey, where Bika allegedly kept threatening her.
Ugh.
That's how bad it had gotten. But like in so many abusive relationships, I don't want to say never, it wasn't a clean break.
Yeah.
And after a period of separation, they somehow got back together again.
Oh, no. It's like, if this guy was so jealous and hated her so much, okay, then you don't have to be with her.
Right.
Like, that's what I don't understand is like people who, have a problem with their significant other or multiple problems with their significant other. It's like, okay, then maybe you should find a different significant other. Like,
right.
What is it that is making you stay in a situation you claim you hate?
No, I get that 100%. I feel like for people like that, especially Bika, it's like just the, having power and control over another person. And I think from what it sounds like, I think he was using her success and also her gender and her identity as a trans woman to control her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So neighbors and friends saw everything firsthand.
Yeah.
There were repeated break-ins at her apartment in Tbilisi. One time she wasn't home and Bika forced his way in. Neighbors witnessed him damaging the door. Another time during the winter, he showed up in the middle of the night trying to barge in again. The neighbors had to physically intervene and get him out.
Wow. I mean, good on those neighbors.
Oh, these neighbors loved her.
Oh.
Like, would do anything for her. And still, despite all that, they would reconcile. Kesaria was aware it was toxic. She said as much to her friend Jakob.
Mm-hmm.
But she was also someone who believed in second chances, and maybe she hoped Bika could change.
Oh, no.
Or maybe, like so many people in abusive relationships, she felt stuck. She had publicly shared in April 2024 that Bika had physically and psychologically abused her. She posted it online, made it clear, but never filed a police report. Friends say she was afraid, and honestly, given the state of protections for trans people in Georgia, she probably had a reason to be.
Yeah, I mean, they probably weren't going to do anything to help her.
No. This was a pattern, well, especially somebody who's so outwardly facing, you know what I mean? Who's on television, who is in commercials and advertisements, who has this big social media presence. She's famous. So, like, I'm sure that only makes it worse.
Yeah.
This was a pattern of escalation, jealousy, controlling behavior, emotional abuse, physical violence, stalking, break-ins, public threats. And it was all happening while Kesaria was continuing her work in the public eye, speaking out on rights, hosting her show, and sharing parts of her life with her followers.
It just goes to show you never know what's going on in someone else's relationship.
Never. And you can never guess unless you're close to them. But then in September 2024, Jakob spoke to Kesaria one last time. She told him she was ending the relationship for good. She sounded firm about it. On September 17th, she posted a photo on social media with Bika. It was later deleted, but not before people saw it and felt that sinking feeling. They were back together again.
Oh, no.
It's hard to say what exactly brought them back together. Maybe it was Bika begging for another chance. Maybe it was love, manipulation.
I was going to say, I mean, people like that, they know how to manipulate. They know how to control.
Or fear, and maybe it was a combination of all those things.
Yeah.
But what we do know is this. In the months leading up to her death, Kesaria was in this abusive relationship with someone who was constantly threatening and hurting her. She told her friends, she told the internet, but no one could really protect her when it mattered the most. On the evening of September 18th, 2024, something awful happened in a quiet apartment building on the outskirts of Tbilisi. Inside Kesaria's 8th floor apartment at 8 Avantindili Street, Kesaria Abramidze, one of Georgia's most well-known transgender women, was brutally murdered.
Oh.
She was just 37 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Neighbors would later say they heard screaming that night. At first, no one could tell where it was coming from. Was it the hallway? Was it another floor? One neighbor thought they recognized the voice. Quote, "It was Kesaria's voice, I think," they told another. It wasn't long before someone opened the door to her apartment and saw a horrifying scene.
Oh.
Kesaria lying in a pool of blood, barely alive. She had been stabbed more than 50 times.
What?
According to early accounts. We'll get into the...
Okay.
Yeah. Including in the throat.
Oh.
Her neighbors say she still had a pulse when they found her, but it was too late. She died before help arrived.
Oh, man.
The killer was Bika Gianni.
Of course.
CCTV footage would later show him arriving in her building around 6:35 p.m., carrying a bag, possibly filled with bottles, probably vodka, according to reports. He took the elevator up to her apartment. What exactly happened inside during those next few minutes, we don't know. But when he left just 14 minutes later, Kesaria was dying. Neighbors believe he may have hidden on the stairwell after the attack, waiting for a chance to slip away unnoticed. You can watch the CCTV footage of Kesaria entering her building. Then later, Bika arrives and goes upstairs. Then later, you see him just running down the stairs and out.
God, that's chilling. CCTV footage, some of them, it's like so scary.
It's so scary. The entire scene, how fast it happened, how violent it was, shocked the country. And it wasn't just the act itself, it was when it had happened. Just one day earlier, on September 17th, the Georgian parliament passed the sweeping anti-LGBTQ law, the Family Values and Protection of Minors. So when the news broke about Kesaria's murder, many people didn't see it as a domestic violence case. They saw it as the first deadly consequence of the state's growing hostility. For LGBTQ plus Georgians, the message was chilling. The government just legalized discrimination, and within 24 hours, someone was dead.
Sure. It sounds like he did have a problem with her identity. So.
Oh, I think he absolutely did. And people started trying to connect the dots. Kesaria had been vocal about her struggles, about the abuse, about being targeted for who she was. She had posted about Bika's violence months earlier. She fled the country. She had come back, tried to reclaim her life, and then this happens. So, you know, at the exact moment, the state made it even harder to be out, be safe, or be heard. It felt like a warning, I think, to people in the country of you passed this law and now we feel
Emboldened.
justified and emboldened in our violence.
Which is very topical here.
Oh, yeah. And while the government is still patting itself on the back for passing that legislation, a woman who wanted love and a family was left to die alone in her home. So in the hours after Kesaria Abramidze was murdered, the shock settled over Tbilisi like a heavy fog. Word spread fast on social media, through news reports, in group chats, and the details were hard to take in. She wasn't just another name or face in the crowd. You know, she's this trailblazer who's fighting for everybody and for herself, and often, you know, tried to make people visible that were often pushed into the shadows. Police didn't take long to identify Bika Gianni as the murderer. Authorities acted quickly. Less than 24 hours later, on the morning of September 19th, Gianni was arrested near Kutasai International Airport.
Oh, so it sounds like he was trying to flee.
It sounds like, yeah. Reports say he may have been trying to flee the country.
Oh, well, there you go.
That was my... Kate predicted my next sentence.
I love that you still read it like that, too.
You know, just when... It never hurts to say something twice. He didn't resist the arrest. The Ministry of Internal Affairs announced that he was being charged under Article 9, subparagraphs T and M of the Criminal Code. Premeditated murder committed with particular cruelty on the basis of gender. The weapon, a knife, was recovered at the scene. Gianni didn't show up to his later court appearances. His lawyer said he was too emotionally unstable to attend and claimed that while Gianni partially admitted to the killing, he denied any cruelty or gender-based motive.
Sure.
The public, however, wasn't buying it.
Yeah.
People across Georgia and far beyond were furious and heartbroken. LGBTQ plus groups and human rights organizations immediately called out the connection between Kesaria's murder and the anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric that had been building. The Social Justice Center put it bluntly. Political homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia have become central to the government's official discourse and ideology. They said Kesaria's murder wasn't isolated, it was part of a bigger picture of state-fueled hate. Mm-hmm. President Salome, who had already opposed that bill but couldn't veto it, issued a powerful statement. She called the killing a terrible denial of humanity and said it should be a wake-up call for Georgian society. She demanded justice, not just for Kesaria, but for what her death represented.
Yeah.
Quote, "May the death of this beautiful young woman at least serve to humanize and Christianize us. May this tragedy not be in vain." Georgian Ombudsman Levan Iosliani echoed that sentiment, saying crimes based on gender and hate need to be met with unflinching consequences.
Yes.
Even some members of Georgian Dream, the party that passed the legislation, acknowledged that Kesaria had likely been a victim of repeated violence.
I'm surprised they would even admit that.
I'm surprised they even said anything about it. Like, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like
They
it.
don't give a fuck. Just shut up with your crocodile shit.
Your crocodile?
Yeah, crocodile. It's this new word for crocodile. Don't even worry about editing this episode, Kate.
Leaving it all in.
I think just put it out.
Yeah.
And just
as is.
Yeah, and just see what people
footage.
and they'll be like, "What the fuck?" All right, so back in Tbilisi, neighbors and friends gathered outside Kesaria's building almost immediately. Hundreds of people, many from her neighborhood, showed up to mourn. Some brought flowers, others lit candles. People cried openly. Kids who knew her from the area shared sweet memories.
Oh, that's so sad.
How she always smiled, how she always said hello. Then on September 22nd, a civil funeral was held in Tbilisi. President Salome attended, showing public solidarity in a country where very few high-level officials have ever openly stood with the queer community. It was one of those rare, raw moments when politics and grief intersected in full view. But perhaps the most emotional tribute came from thousands of miles away in Brooklyn, New York, where a memorial was held on September 29th, 2024 at All Saints Episcopal Church. The service was organized by members of the Georgian diaspora, LGBTQ plus activists, and the Georgian American Fellowship.
What is diaspora? Is it diaspora?
Let's Google. I'm interested.
Diaspora.
Oh, I've said it wrong my whole life.
We learn something new every day. Yes, he was trying to flee the country.
Authorities believe he may have been trying to flee the country.
So this service in Brooklyn, let me roll this back.
Sure.
Sorry. The service was organized by members of the Georgian diaspora, LGBTQ plus activists, and the Georgian American Fellowship. It's a group dedicated to creating a spiritual home for Georgians who feel alienated by the conservative Orthodox Church.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That church, Kesaria's own religious tradition, had refused to hold a funeral for her, the Orthodox Church.
Wow. What a great show of your faith. Just refuse to even acknowledge or memorialize or honor the loss of life.
And she was a religious person.
Yeah.
She thought she was part of the church.
Yeah.
So was her family.
Wow.
And then even they're like, "No, we're not doing a funeral." It's inhumane.
It's
whatever path, socio-psycho, whatever.
Psychopath. What was the name of the game show?
Oh, Psychopath Games. I think that's like
they're playing those psychopath games.
They really are. I hate it. So about 40 people gathered in Brooklyn. Many weren't even Georgian. They just came because they believed in what she stood for.
Aww.
Kesaria's mother, Julissa, called into that service to thank everyone for showing up and accepting her daughter as the woman she was.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
I know. One attendee said it was the first time they didn't feel afraid or ashamed in a church.
Just think about that.
I know. Yeah. A photo of Kesaria was placed on the altar, surrounded by candles and flowers. Her spirit was there, flashing her signature smile, glamorous as always. Bika Gianni was taken into custody and processed. A psychological and psychiatric evaluation of him was conducted at the Levan Samkruali National Forensics Bureau. The results, released on November 22nd, 2024, confirmed that Gianni was fully sane at the time of the murder. He acted with full awareness of his actions.
I just looked up a picture of her. She's
beautiful.
Stunning.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Stunning.
Mm-hmm. So then on December 23rd, 2024, the pretrial hearing was held at Tbilisi City Court. At the pretrial hearing, the court revealed that the charges against Gianni had been escalated. He now faced charges under Article 9 T&M for the premeditated murder committed with particular cruelty and motivated by intolerance toward gender and gender identity, and then Article 126, Section 1, systematic physical abuse. They added abuse to the murder.
Okay.
During the hearing, the judge asked Gianni directly if he pled guilty. Judge, do you plead guilty? Bika Gianni, I plead guilty. Defense attorney, to clarify, Your Honor, he pleads partially guilty.
What?
Judge, what do you mean? Bika, I disagree with the gender aspect. Defense attorney, he also disputes the charge under Article 126. Judge, so you do not admit to systematic assault? Bika says, no, I only admit to killing a person.
Okay.
Gianni waived his right to a jury trial, meaning the case would be decided by a judge. The full trial was scheduled to begin on January 6th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Gianni's attorney, Salome Ardatelli, not President Salome, who we love,
got it,
said they would challenge the claims of systematic abuse and reject the idea that the murder was driven by hatred of Kesaria's gender identity. She framed his partial guilty plea as a distinction between admitting to the act of killing and denying the motive or cruelty behind it. Prosecutor Grigol Nishnyanzi strongly disagreed. He stated that the prosecution had extensive evidence, including witness testimony from friends and neighbors and those close to Kesaria.
Also, all of her posts online where she's talked about it.
Yeah, and photographs and videos from her phone. Covert audio recordings were made by Gianni's own family members and submitted as evidence.
Oh, wow.
Even his family was like, he treated her like garbage.
Wow.
He had admitted to hitting her when she made him angry to his family. An expert analysis confirmed that Gianni's voice was indeed captured in those recordings. So they also got him talking about abusing her. The prosecutor also noted that after opening the investigation, authorities checked with emergency services and all relevant agencies. They found that Kesaria had never filed any complaints about violence or threats, confirming that she had kept the abuse hidden, something common among trans people facing widespread discrimination.
Sure.
During the closing arguments at Bika Gianni's trial, the prosecutor laid it all out. This wasn't just a one-time act of violence. It was part of a long and horrifying pattern. Gianni had been controlling and cruel for a long time before the murder. The prosecutor told the court that Gianni used to call Kesaria a mistake of nature.
Wow.
Yeah, constantly monitored her phone and even dictated what she could wear.
Oh, get the fuck out.
If he didn't approve, he beat her. Ooh. That wasn't just talk. Multiple witnesses confirmed it. One said they often heard disturbing sounds coming from her apartment and saw bruises on her body. Ooh. Another said Gianni kept her basically trapped at home, insulting her gender identity and physically attacking her on a near daily basis. Once, he reportedly beat her just because she didn't show him a message on her phone.
This is just devastating.
It's devastating. The prosecution didn't hold back, though. They showed the photos of the crime scene and the knife used in the attack. So detailing 28 stab wounds. That was less than the original 50.
It's still
It's I'm not saying
lot.
like that's a lot, but it turned out to be 28.
I see.
One witness even recalled the chilling moments right before her death. They heard Kesaria scream, "Don't hit me, don't hit me," and then saw Gianni running down the stairs.
Oh, God.
On April 16th, 2025, this year, Bika Gianni was convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
Good. I thought you were going to tell me that he got away with it.
No. For life in prison for the murder of Kesaria Abramidze. The minimum sentence was 16 years, so he got the full.
The fact that there's even a minimum of just 16 years for that kind of crime.
I know.
Damn.
The court found him guilty not just of killing her, but of doing so with particular cruelty and on the grounds of gender identity. Mm-hmm. He was also convicted of repeated acts of gender-based violence during their relationship. He wasn't there in court that day either. His lawyer announced they would appeal the decision, but the ruling was already historic. It was one of the first cases in Georgia where a gender-based hate crime against a transgender person was recognized and punished to the fullest extent of the law.
I mean, good. Yeah, I was so nervous when you...
No, I know. I got nervous when I was researching this because, the trial just happened.
Yeah.
Kesaria's life didn't end quietly, and neither did her legacy. She was someone who fought to live out loud, in color, in full view of a world that often tried to dim her light. And even after her death, her story continues to shake a country to its core, forcing people to reckon with the consequences of hate, silence, and indifference. She wanted love, she wanted to start a family, she wanted to be seen, and now, finally, the whole world is watching.
And she is so gorgeous. You all need to all go look her up right now because...
Oh, yeah, and we'll post a picture.
Yeah, she's stunning.
And that's the murder of Kesaria Abramidze.
That is heartbreaking. I'm so glad that he got the max sentence,
me
though.
too. And it was a quick trial. This happened September of last year. And then I think the justice system saw it as we need to nip this in the bud and do this, because if this is the pattern moving forward of murdering people, then they need to know that there's severe consequences for it. So good on the justice system here in Georgia.
Wow. Well, we hope that you all have a good week.
Happy Pride. Yeah, I had never heard of her before. I mean, obviously that she's local to Georgia, but yeah, it was a crazy story to research.
It was a good one though. That was a good. You told the story well, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So you can let us know your thoughts in the comments on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Spotify at
Horrorwood Podcast.
And if all you want to say is just Happy Pride, we'd love to hear it. You can also send us an email at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
And you could be like Steph Marie, if that is your real name, because the name that came up was actually Margaret Smith.
I saw that.
It's a little confusing, Steph Marie.
Didn't
we had a Maggie Smith. So I've just been so confused. But anyway, if you want to be like
Maggie,
her.
Margaret, love y'all. Hope you're doing well. If you want to be like them, go to horrorwood.com. No, that's not it.
That's not it.
Patreon.com/horrorwoodpodcast.
That's it.
That's the one.
Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride. Don't do murder. Just celebrate each other.